Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success starting now. Welcome back to the Key to Growth podcast. I'm your host, Jen McKee, and today we have such a special treat. Today we have Ellen Rohr with us, which I'm so excited to talk about, but I'm going to let her introduce herself. I recently heard her call the Sarah Blake the trades, and I don't know how you feel about that, Ellen, but I thought that was the coolest.
I love Sarah Blakely.
I know.
The founder of Spanx, and she didn't get married till she was in her 40s, had 4 kids, married
She's amazing. I love her story too. I listened to her How I Built This. I don't know if you ever listened to that podcast. It was so interesting.
Love that. I love everything about her. And I just, she cut off the feet of a pair of pantyhose.
Yeah.
And there were just a million reasons. What I love about her too is being smart is not very helpful. Because you'll think of all the reasons why it won't work. You'll see too far down the chessboard. And she's one that I've heard her talk about her dad. Her dad was, it makes me cry. I love her so much. I'm glad that you said that. She said that her dad would ask her and her brother or brothers,
yes,
how have you failed today?
Yeah.
To get used to that. That's the good stuff. The hard stuff is the good stuff. And I just absolutely love her. So whatever comparison you want to make to Sarah, I'm all in. First day she put out those sneaks, I bought a pair. I don't
you did.
know how attractive they are. I'm like indifferent to the style, but I love her so much. I will support anything.
Just support. I love it. You haven't even introduced yourself yet, but I love that story about her and her dad. And I thought about that and tried it with my kids. I feel like they're too young right now. I don't know if you're ever too young, but they just didn't get it. I'm like, okay, I should try that again.
Oh, yeah, we can keep going. But I think with kids too, they hear you, even if they respond like they don't.
Yeah.
With my own kid, beat a dead horse on things I thought were important. And my nieces and nephews will just go, wait, are you still talking about that? He heard you.
That's funny. Okay, Ellen, tell us who you are.
I'm Ellen Rohr. I am an owner and founder of Zoom Drain Franchising. We clear drains, fast, focused, get them fixed. I absolutely love being part of the Zoom Drain franchise organization, and also work with ServiceTitan now as a brand ambassador. And I'm standing up the brand ambassador and influencer program at ServiceTitan with some help from you, Jen. So thank you very much. I'm psyched to be here.
Yay. And so I feel like talking to Ellen, there's just so much that we could talk about in regards to marketing, which is funny because marketing is not Ellen's teaching point. If you've ever heard Ellen, she teaches a lot about finances, a lot about simplifying businesses, a lot about team, not a lot about marketing. But number one, I'm very lucky to get to work with Ellen and get to know her better. And I think that just in everything that you've done, there's no way that marketing didn't play a huge part in the success that you've had, even if it's just the marketing that you did for yourself, but building a company that turned into a franchise that is such a big part of, the US. There was a ton of marketing there too. So I thought that this could be a really cool conversation.
Yeah. I'm keep in mind too, as an older person, once upon a time, what you did for marketing was get a yellow page ad.
Yeah.
This all died before you were even born, I think. But
no, I had the yellow pages at my house.
Yeah. Some of the OGs remember, it was this gut-wrenching decision. I know companies that went out of business spending millions of dollars per month on a double, triple, quadruple truck ad is what they called it, page after page, and thought the care that, it was a 6-month decision to create this one ad that could break your business. And we thought it was the worst thing ever at the time. And now I'm almost longing for the days of yellow pages.
There was one decision
and you were good for the year, where now that kind of thought process and decision making and message, refinement goes on all the time in all venues. So it is an exciting time we live in. And I do think there are some true north principles about marketing that my whole life have proven true. And I thought maybe I could share a couple of those today, because even in mind, I'm working with Jen because I don't know all the nuances of what's happening. Jen and I are working really exclusively on my social media campaign, which is a small part of any business anymore. I mean, it's a part. It's not a small part. It is a big part, but only a part of a multifaceted marketing campaign. But this is what I figured out once upon a time, just to be nice to people. Like, my gold standard is I want, when I call somebody and their phone blows up and it says Ellen Rohr, I want them to be happy about that. And that comes down to how you treat people. Listen, I have failed over the years. I've been a pain in the ass more times than I would like to admit. But when I get myself right and centered and think, what are the main things that we have to accomplish here? Kindness, respect, manners, please and thank you, greetings and salutations. Those are things that give you a good reputation of being someone that people like. And we're going to buy from people we like and trust. So tell the truth and be nice are great words. Now, practically and tactically, I've got a couple of tips that I've used over and over again, a couple of marketing strategies I've used over and over again that are old school and always work if you work them. Do you want to hear about those?
Yes, but not yet.
That's the teaser.
First,
okay.
Ellen has something really big that she's working on, and I wanted to be sure that she had a chance to talk about it. So tell us about your big project is right now.
World of Titans, Australia. Okay, so this is how this came to happen. ServiceTitan is the software for the trades, and the intention of ServiceTitan is to help contractors be more successful. We have been at Zoom Drain. I've been a ServiceTitan user for more than 10 years and absolutely love them. And they're critical to our day-to-day operations, our success. And I love the people who work at ServiceTitan. So as our franchise developed, kind of a classic founder story, I just wasn't as required day-to-day as I was in the beginning. And so I started to think, well, how can I still be relevant? How can I have a voice and an impact? And I turned to ServiceTitan and I absolutely imposed myself on them. Please find a place for me to play. Even as ServiceTitan as a customer, I mean, it's tricky getting a software up and running. And there were moments of friction for sure. But again, if you come from a place that I just try to assume that people are doing the best they can with the information and understanding that they have, like help a brother or sister out, be a good customer as well as, a kind person. So anyway, I made some great friends at ServiceTitan along the years, and I called them and said, hey, can I come and play with you guys? And I got this great gig. So that happened. And then I went to Pantheon. If you haven't been to Pantheon, I've been to 1 million, and Pantheon is my favorite. I love it so much. It's just a mind-blowing experience. Anyway, we're there, and I'm hearing from RN Vahe, the founders, whom I adore and salute, and they're talking about their priorities for the year. And one of the things that comes up is that we're now open in Australia. So I'm like, wow, that's cool. I've never been to Australia. I'd like to go. And so as that's kind of cooking, it's a priority for ServiceTitan. We're open there. And then I run into Scott Irwin. And did you meet Scott? He's an amazing person.
Him on Facebook.
Okay. He's a big guy with this huge heart. And like, he grabbed me in this big hug and he introduces me to Vicky, his wife, and his kids. And he's brought like 1 million people from his company from Australia to Pantheon. Yeah. And as it turns out, he was the first company to go live in ServiceTitan. And I'm like, awesome. Oh, you are this guy? So I'm putting the pieces together. And he says, why don't you come to Australia? You can stay with us. He gives me this big, generous invite. I've met him for like 3 minutes at this point. Right. Absolutely love him. Again, just the power of kindness and hospitality and generosity. I made a friend right there. And so as we were talking about it with my team at ServiceTitan, we love a shop tour. Well, let's do a shop tour of Scott Irwin and Vicky Irwin's place, Network Plumbing. Let's get marketing assets. Let's make people feel good. Let's show off Australia. And then it turned into as long as we're there, why don't we put on a business development event? We've got a lot of customers. There's over 50 customers in Australia right now. Let's put on an event. They can come and bring their friends. We can expand the ServiceTitan community in Australia and continue to support and improve our support with those customers down there. So selfishly, I wanted to go to Australia, but from a strategic standpoint, there's a lot of great reasons to expand. And we're calling the event World of Titans because ServiceTitan intends to serve tradespeople all over the world. And so yay for Canada, yay for Australia. And this is just the beginning. So yeah, thanks. So it's going to be the tour. Tom Howard and I are going to do a budgeting program. Budgeting sounds like dieting. I know it's no fun, but the way we do it is for fun. You'll get goals. You'll get your team in on the game. You'll get your KPIs lined up, and then you'll be able to make better, faster, more profitable decisions. Tom and I have done this before and had a blast. I think you're going to love that. Then we're going going to do a dinner cruise in the Sydney Harbor. How about that? And then on day 2, we've got a lineup of speakers. Ishmael Valdez is going to be there. Ishmael, I love you. There's a guy who moves to action. His story's amazing. Built this company 0 to 30 million in under 2 years. And then sold it to private equity and now is doing a manufacturing company. The guy implements. So cool. Keith Mercurio is going to be there. This is a transformative personal development event. You've been to one of Keith's presentations.
Oh yeah. I love anytime I see him on Facebook, I'm like, gotta read it. It's always so good.
100%.
So
and
good.
Even as they say presentation, it isn't a presentation. It is an interactive experience.
Yeah.
It's all about personal development and becoming allowing yourself to be the best version of yourself. And I absolutely love Keith. I've known him since he was 21. Did you know that? We've been friends for that long. And
you were 21 also at the time.
No, I could be his mother. He's my son's age. And then Catherine Elizabeth is coming. Dynamo, from prison to powerhouse. Wherever Catherine lands, sales go through the roof. She knows how to build a sales team and just loves on her coworkers. I've never seen anyone change a culture like she does, and she'll be talking about that. Amazing. And we'll have the Irwins there. Tom is going to talk about transforming his company through acquisitions. We're going to do a panel with Connor Thielman on private equity and investment, just ways that you can use other people's money to help grow your business for mutual benefits. So exciting. What to watch out for too. So in any event, we've got 2 powerhouse days planned in Australia. Now, primarily for Australians. However, if you want to get yourself there, you'll be welcome. So we'll link the registration link here.
Amazing. That's going to be so good.
Share about that.
I think that, so I love this podcast because so many people have different ways of marketing and there's so many different facets of it. And what's really interesting, Ellen, is that even though you say you're not a marketing person, you've marketed yourself for a long time. And that's how you ended up in this position with ServiceTitan. And that's really what you were looking for to be a part of the ambassador program. And so what am I talking about? Like how did you do this? Do you know, are these steps? I mean, it probably wasn't intentional. It's part of who you are.
In retrospect, there's a couple. That's why in anticipation of our conversation today, I thought, what can I share here? There's a couple things that I'm going to go to the wall on that always work if you work it.
Yeah.
And one is, I'm going to give you 2 specific marketing constructs that if you do them, they always work. They will always work to drive calls at your company, and they're going to be very low cost to do. It does take creativity and it's going to take some manpower. But if you don't have any money to spend on marketing and you don't have any leads, you've got time. So there's never a reason to not market your company. If you've got lots of money, waste lots of money, make some mistakes. If you don't have a lot of money, and by the way, you'll lose a lot of money doing that. But
waste lots of money. That's not good financing tips.
Some things you don't know are going to work until you try them.
Right.
So there is that's another thing I've learned about marketing over the years. If it were, a dialed in science, then we wouldn't be talking about it all the time. I mean, really, when you build a business, the financial piece is the easiest piece to get nailed down. It hasn't changed since the 1400s. No difference in assets, liabilities, equity, sales, and expenses. I mean, it's just like biology. Learn the basics and you could go very far. Not to discount how cool I am and the stuff that I teach, but
no, that's so true though. And that's great to know.
Yeah. I mean, it's the emotional part. Yeah.
Right.
It's the emotional part that keeps, daddy says, we should never talk about money, a rich man in the eye of the camel and all the stuff that we have that can get in the way of us just dealing with the money like, what it is, which is just a form of energy like oxygen. As Zig Ziglar says, money isn't everything, but it's right up there with oxygen on the gotta have it meter.
Yeah. It's an exchange of value.
It's an exchange of energy. There is an exchange. You do this, I do this, and we're good to go. So money can be figured out. Operations can be figured out. You're going to write some manuals, take some video, put it in your Google Drive. You might get a little LSM like Trainual. You might hire someone to write your mail, but you can get it dialed in. What are the 5 tasks that make up 80% of your income for your service techs? Write those, right? And get the training manuals in, the, position descriptions lined up with those manuals. Like that stuff is really doable. What mature business owners talk about is marketing. Have you noticed that? You go to the event, they got money figured out. They got the operations pretty dialed in. There's some tweaks, but overall marketing is just changing so fast and it's so interesting. And there's so many ways to play that's what the mature business owners, mature meaning not age-wise necessarily, but just, they've got a business that's running and that's what they'll spend their time and energy on is how to get that phone to ring, how to become relevant in the eyes of your customers, become the inevitable choice.
So you said there were these things.
There's two things. So one of them is this, and ServiceTitan has a very cool program called Power Up with the trades. And so what they're doing is highlighting, so keep this in mind, highlighting cool community activities. So maybe you have one. And if so, take notice, reach out to your customer success manager at ServiceTitan and say, hey, I think ServiceTitan, reach out to me. They're Rohr at ServiceTitan.com, EROHR at ServiceTitan.com, and tell me about it and I'll steer you in the right direction. But you've got lots of people in this world love shining a light on good deeds. So if you're willing to do something in your community, why not leverage it as much as you can? Wayne Dyer says that when you do a good deed, it gives you this like serotonin blast, endorphins, you feel really great. What's cool is the person for whom you do the good deed gets the same feeling. What's also cool is anyone who sees you do it gets that same feeling. So that one act of generosity or kindness or goodwill can be really expanded with shining a light on it.
Yeah.
So here's how I first figured it out. And I'm going back a long time ago, maybe 35 years ago. So we have our company Hot Rod and Yaks in Park City, Utah. Hot Rod's my husband. Yaks is our deceased partner at this point. And but that's the name of the company. It still is to this day. But going back 35, 40 years ago, maybe, we didn't have any money. We're trying to market this thing. I'm barely digging my head out from under the pile of debt that we've got. And I live in a really small town. And one of the things when you raise your prices, like I did, one of the things that you're concerned about is, are people going to use you if you're the highest priced guy in town, right? Don't you run into this all the time?
Yeah.
We're expensive or we're properly priced and none of my competitors are. What do I do with that? Well, one of the things that we noticed when we would ask our customers, and back then we had little mail-in postcards, like, what do you like about us? What do you hate about us? And they would say, price was too high, and then comment, but they're good community citizens. They're good neighbors to have. Like, there was a little bit of evidence that meant something to folks. Now, you'll get the same evidence in your Google reviews.
Right.
So why do people like you? What are they saying? So we picked up on this, and there was this really cool fundraising event that was put on by the National Ability Center, Park City, Utah. It's still there, still operates. And what it does is they take people skiing, horseback riding, kayaking, no matter what your physical or mental capacity is, we're going to get you in the game. That's what they do. It's so cool. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. So cool. So you've probably seen skiers with like skis or in a sled, with some kind of accommodating equipment. That's the kind of work they do up on the mountain. So they run this ski race in the spring and they asked us to be a sponsor. And I looked at the sponsorship and like a gold sponsor for which you got a plaque like that on the top of this absolutely impossible to read scoreboard.
Yeah.
25 grand back in like 1990 or 95.
That's an investment.
It was an investment. And I thought, and no one will see that. That's like anonymously giving 25,000. So I thought, well, what if we leverage the ski event? So I signed up for the $500 package. And that was to enter a race team. And then we just brainstormed all different ways we could leverage being in this event. So one thing I did, because I'm adorable, I said, I'll call the event. So this is Ellen at Hot Rod and Yacht. I was in the booth where who's racing now, what their time is. I'm throwing in some stuff about the different people. Hey, this is my community. I know these people, right? So it was a really fun opportunity to say, Ellen at the name of your company and keep this going. So that's one way. Then I salted the team. I was on the team. I was the celebrity. The more famous your celebrity was, the more expensive the celebrity contribution was. Well, I was the celebrity. So I just we have a celebrity. It's me. And then the other three racers on our team, I knew who the best racers in Park City were, and they were my friends. So they're on my team. Now we came in second because we had a weak link on the team, me. But it didn't matter because we're still on the podium. These guys were so fast and so good, and they're getting a lot of attention. Now our trucks were Flame. The name of the company was Hot Rod and Yaks. We had Flame trucks. So my mom made pillowcase flags with a dowel, and we silk screened checkered flags and flames on flags. You know what? If you give a kid a flag, he's going to wave it. And we had dozens of flags with our logo and flames all over the end, where the racers, the finish line. We had our trucks there handing out water. We printed the flyers for them and dropped them off at all the businesses in town. So we literally just imposed ourselves on every single visual point in that event for maximum visibility. And we milked that day for the rest of our careers, I think.
I love that.
When you do something good for the community, have a lot of fun with it and really show it off. Airworks does a great job with this. Stephanie, DJ Head was just, and their team, Head Plumbing, Dari, they were just showcased for the program Power Up the Trades. So do that. So that will always work. And it's fun and it's important that you can't go wrong. When you do these things, how do you lose? You take pictures, you have marketing content forever. Now you have social media for months.
I know.
Isn't that fun?
It's so good. And I love it too, because it's kind of interesting because it's really what you said you did with ServiceTitan, and it's how you got into Australia. And it's kind of this, you might not see that you're good at marketing, but you have a very strong marketing brain. You understand how important visibility is. And so maybe you need support with the execution of some of it, but I think that you naturally have a brain that understands that visibility is important. And there's one other thing that I want to point out, because I think a lot of people's hesitation in what you said is that sometimes I'll tell business owners, like, when you're doing these things, you need to share that you're doing these things. And they're like, well, then it might not seem authentic. Like, then I'm just doing it for the clout. But also, I really challenge that, because you bring attention to this organization. And so now you give other people the opportunity to see, number one, that it exists. Number two, that there's opportunities for support. Maybe they need it for their family or friends. Maybe it's something that they could give to as well. So I almost would say it's selfish to not share the organizations and the people that you're helping support, because when you bring attention to them, you're helping them get further in whatever it is that their objective is as well.
100%. We were promoting the National Ability Center. That was the point. Like, so we're just going to bring attention to us as we're shining a spotlight on them. And, that's how you get the win-win-win there for sure. And I mean, I understand I'm a kind of a showboaty person. I'm more comfortable doing that, but somebody at your company is showboaty like me. It doesn't have to be you. And that can get you off the hook too. Because who's the person who's got a high eye in their disc map, or, is always like going, we should have a party. That person is the one. If you're a little more inverted, it doesn't have to be you. You can just participate.
For sure. Okay. So tell us the second thing.
Okay. I'll tell you the second thing. Here's a pop quiz though. When we started to work together, what did I tell you? What's an inevitable outcome of our work together?
Oh no. I feel like I'm going to get it wrong.
You might have forgotten. I'm going to remind you.
Okay. Tell me.
A reality TV show.
I didn't know that's where we were going.
I just threw a curveball. And
I do come back to that constantly. I'm like, Ellen, about your show. Here's how we're going to.
Well, it's inevitable. The dominoes are already dropping. And here's why. I don't want to get too political. I'm not a fan of our president, so I'll say that. But a reality show triggered this whole thing.
I know. And he is a great marketer. Like, that's really how he got to where he is. And you see it a lot. And it's really, marketing isn't just about social media. It's not just about Google. It's not just about all of these things. It's really about the visibility that you bring to yourself and the opportunities, the doors that you see that might lead you to the next opportunity or the next person that you're meeting. And I'm guessing that's what you're going to talk about, because that is what, maybe not. But I think that networking, your network, the people that you meet, the people that you build relationships with, and the opportunities that you say yes to and move towards help. And so we use your social media as a great example of ways to elevate all of these things that you're doing, all of the other ways that you're putting yourself out there in marketing and connecting with people and getting on stages and doing all these things. And then we use social media to share it again and get it in front of more people and make it even more obvious and noticeable.
You don't know where it's going to go. Like, you're going to throw seeds and some of them are going to fall on stony ground. But like, the greatest adventures in my life and the biggest career opportunities were not what I had exactly planned ever. When you keep moving in the direction of, this feels good, this is what I want to do, this is a way I can be of service, sounds fun. Fun is important to me. Maybe anything that you do, just be really clear that you're doing it for reasons that are aligned with your integrity and your values. And then comes from the left or the right, stuff you couldn't have even guessed that would be so amazing. And I found that and sometimes I get frustrated, even when things aren't going like I think they should go, I am confident we'll get there. Whatever comes of this detour may be a worthwhile detour to get ourselves there. So here's another, let's go back to marketing. These are all connected. Yes. Let's talk about marketing again. So here's a tip that I've given so many times. And what's interesting to me is how rarely this tip is used. And it always works if you work it. All right. So here's how this started once upon a time. I went on a ride along. Everything about business, like, really has its roots in going on the ride along, sitting side by side with somebody. Your frontline team knows everything that's wrong with your company and how to fix it, like if you just talk to them. So on a ride along, and we went to this house, and they had a fairly new home, and the water heater was like 4 years old, and it was destroyed. It was all rusted out. And the service tech is like, you need a new water heater. He showed them, looks bad, smells bad, sounds bad. It's bad. So obviously you need a new water heater. However, that water heater should have lasted longer. I think your water is aggressive. I think it has to do with your water. Now, water is, it'll decompose things, dissolve things.
Yeah.
It turned out, so I did a little water test, and it turned out as the water was really aggressive. So before we were gone, he sold a water softener, a rust treatment thing, a new water heater. He replaced the stuff that had been destroyed, and it was all really good, very well communicated, a sale that sat well. Customer was delighted, and it was a fun day. So I'm riding along with this fellow, and we walk out to the truck, walk out to the truck, and I look across a sea of homes built the same summer as the house in, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has that water and that water heater.
Yeah.
So they need us in this neighborhood. So, and I worked with John Young once upon a time when I was at Benjamin Franklin, the punctual plumber, and he gave me this idea. And since then, like, so many ways to leverage it have dawned on me, especially in light of social media and other things you can do. So what if you got a list of those customers, and you can buy these lists, and you snail mailed them a picture of the customer we were just talking to.
Yeah.
Right? Mrs. Fernwicke. So there's Mrs. Fernwicke, teeth, not like way back here, like right up here. And like, I thought this was going to be expensive. Whatever. You asked Mrs. Fernwicke, what did you like about working with us? I thought it was going to be really expensive. I thought he was going to leave a mess. I don't know. Was he going to call or show? I've just been shined by so many contracts. So you ask her, what did you like about working with us? You write it down. Don't ask her to do anything. Just talk to her. You document everything. You create a postcard of Mrs. Fernwicke, and then a headline, something that she was afraid of, the content, how we made it better, and a call to action. Al Levy 101. This is where I got that. So you send a postcard to her neighbors. Now, there's not that much mail in your mailbox anymore. And if I got a postcard that had Barb's picture on it, Barb lives right there, I would see Barb when we're taking out our garbage cans and go, Barb, this is you. She'd say, yeah. I said, you like these guys? I love them. They really saved me. The water's better, blah, blah, blah. Now I've got firsthand testimonial from someone I love and trust, or Mrs. Fernwicke, or whoever is in this neighborhood. So you're already going to get more attention. You're going to make Mrs. Fernwicke a star. We could ask Mrs. Fernwicke to put it on her Facebook page and pass it around. They made a postcard with me in it, whatever. Everybody likes to have just a little moment of being bragged on and loved on. And you love Mrs. Fernwicke. You're thanking her for this. You're going to give her a little referral bonus or basket or something. Then you're going to call these folks, maybe the ones that are in your ServiceTitan account, or you're going to email them if you can. I know there's rules about this, but you can communicate with the neighborhood, maybe with yard signs, maybe with flyers, and say, we're stop by and be at Mrs. Fernwicke's house. We're going to be working in the neighborhood on Saturday. And you bring 5 trucks, all of them on Saturday when people are out and about. And you just say, hey, we were working at Mrs. Fernwicke's. Here's her. If you've got these symptoms, if you want us to take a look at your water heater, we're happy to do this. And do you see how many ways you could possibly leverage this event?
Yeah.
You could have a party at the Homeowners Association pool.
Right.
Say, hey, we're bringing drinks. We're going to get pizzas. You're welcome to come over. We help Mrs. Fernwicke. We love your neighborhood. If you have any questions, we'll help you out.
Yeah.
So if you go and you work that neighborhood, maybe 50 people, like in this subdivision, there were like 500 houses. Don't send a postcard to 2,000 or 20,000. Send a postcard to 50 people 5 times. Like, right? Just like you're taking, this is the idea, is that neighborhood by neighborhood. At Zoom Drain, if we found roots in the line. Mrs. Fernwicky's neighbor has roots in the line, to the left, to the right, across the street. It's systemic. These problems are systemic. This is how you own just, hey, we were at Mrs. Fernwicky's. I thought I'd leave you this information. Now, does that take some courage? It does. Are your service techs going to want to do it? I don't know. Depends. Figure it out. Talk to them. Get the friendly to do it for you. Get their kids to do it. Pay them, you can go neighborhood by neighborhood this way and own that neighborhood.
Yes. And it's something you can do when you don't have a lot of money. You could do it really by hand. You could do it. A lot of those things you said, you don't even need, just to get all the trucks out there on a Saturday, okay, so you have to spend some money in paying some people, but it could really pay off. And so I think that a lot of times it's easy to get stuck in your head of we don't have any customers, but there's so many ways that you can acquire another customer.
Way, and the idea is leverage. Leverage is one of my favorite words. And now with social media, couldn't they all be posting or pin?
Exactly. Yeah, you leverage all of that. You could run ads just to that zip code. You can of the exact same thing that you're sending them. So many things. I love that.
These are things that always work if you work them, and they just stretch you in terms of now you and your team have a little brainstorming meeting where
use ChatGPT. Give ChatGPT Ellen's idea and have it come up.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's a great idea. And here's something I was actually once upon a time when I watched The Celebrity Apprentice, I was appalled at how bad they were at brainstorming, talking over each other. You put people in a room and we're supposed to come up with ideas, and they were always really bad at it.
Yeah.
MBAs and business owners. And I don't know, I was kind of surprised at that. And then John Young taught me this technique for a brainstorming session, and I've used it a million times since, that you state what are we trying to do? Why are we trying to do it? Okay, we're going to create a neighborhood by neighborhood campaign. And why are we going to do it? Because we need more calls, and we want more calls like Mrs. Fernwicky. We love her. We like this neighborhood. Okay, great. And then how much time, energy, and money do we have? You put all the parameters. And then the last bit is how are we going to do this? And this is where you're going to brainstorm. When you are like me, you take all the oxygen out of the room. I know what we can do. I'm doing it a podcast right now. But then the quiet person is not going to speak up. And that's usually the person you want to hear from. So what John taught me was now everyone who's playing is going to write down any possible idea they can think of. No holds barred. Don't worry about budget or anything. Just the most creative things you can think of for the next 5 minutes. And you have to at least 10 on the paper. So that will stretch you. You could come up with 3 things pretty easy. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll get a targeted ad. But as you get down to 8 and 9 and 10, you're really stretching. But say you have 4 people in the room, a tech, a call taker, a dispatcher, someone from accounting, and then your sales leader. And so you've got these different personalities, and they're all figuring out ideas. You would then have 5 times 10, you'd have 50 ways, and then you could divide and conquer. Okay, I'll do this, you do this, I'll do this. But being quiet and having people write is a way to get more creative.
I love that.
Yay! Oh, we've been on the podcast for a bit.
It's okay. All right. Okay. So here's how we end. So this is the Key to Growth podcast. And so what is the key to growth?
My answer is it's subject to change, but right now it's failing fast with no drama, no blame or shame. Just quit talking about it. I'm giving the advice to myself right this second too. Just let it go and then regroup and keep going. What I'm noticing on the companies who are, that we know, Jen, in our circle, who are growing fast, are doing it with a lot less drama and a lot more speed because they fail fast and keep going. Does that resonate with you?
I love that. Absolutely. Okay. So tell everybody where they can find more about Ellen. I know we're going to put the World of Titans link in the description, but what about just looking for Ellen? Where would they find you?
EllenRohr.com is a great place. I give away my book, Where Did the Money Go? So you can go there and get a free copy. So EllenRohr.com. And of course at ServiceTitan, eRohr at ServiceTitan.com.
And you can find Ellen on Instagram Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Thank
TikTok.
you. Yay.
He's on all of them. Well, thank you so much. This was super, super insightful. I love it. I love
Well,
it.
can I just add one more thing too? Like
Absolutely.
I want to brag on you because our work together, I can be kind of bossy. I don't have a lot of confidence in marketing, and sometimes that gets expressed as bossiness, which is
I
counterproductive.
don't think it's bossiness.
A little bit-
I think it's knowing what you need.
Well,
Knowing
or
what you-
that I want it different, but not knowing what I need. And I think that's where sometimes, as you're listening and you're deciding who you're going to use to help you with marketing, I want to brag on you, Jen and Elena, whom I adore, who works with me directly, is that I love working with you because we collaborate. You listen, I listen, we share ideas, we come up with a game plan, we rock and roll, we adjust as needed without any drama. And it's such an amazing relationship. And I feel like we're really just getting started.
Thank you. We tried.
Love.
Social media should be collaborative if you're working with someone, because how are we going to create your social media presence without you?
Yeah.
We need you in there.
Yeah, it was really fun and productive to work with you, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to work with you and to be a part of your life right now. It's fun.
Yeah,
I feel lucky. All right. Well, I appreciate your time so much today. This has been incredible.
Thank you.